Are you envious? Are you judging them? Are you like, what is coming up in you when you see those posts? Take it to Jesus. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing more important on that phone than your child who is right there. And that is such a cop-out. It's just the most wonderful thing to watch as a mom. Help share some of the things that I found that made me want to know him more and love him more. So that's what this video is about. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a while. I am coming to you today with a video. It's been a few months, but this is actually something I've wanted to film for like the last year, and I'm finally getting time to sit down and do it. What we're talking about today. So I wanted to share some recommendations. Disclaimer, my daughter's 2.5 years old, so I'm not claiming to be, some professional mother who has it all figured out, but I did want to share just what I have learned just in my time as a mom, any recommendations that I think are helpful. Let's jump right in. So the first thing is having some sort of morning routine. And I know this one is hard and there's different seasons, even just for young motherhood. But in the past few months, now my daughter's 2.5, still does not consistently sleep through the night. She knows how, she has the ability to, she just chooses not to always do that. So for a long time, that was my excuse for not doing a morning routine, because it's like, oh, I gotta get all the sleep I can possibly get. I gotta sleep in as late as she'll let me. But recently, so she wakes up usually in like the 6 to 7 o'clock hour at some point. I was setting my alarm for like 6:45 or 7, like trying to soak up as much as possible. I changed that to 6:30, and so there are still times that she wakes up before me, and that starts my day. But when she doesn't, I have my morning tea, I do 5 minutes of prayer, I read my Bible, and I stretch. Yeah, I started adding in stretching in the morning, and on those days when like I get my tea, Bible, prayer, stretching, and then I start my day, I feel like so much more accomplished, which I know people always say this, and I was like, yeah, cool for you, not for me. I'm telling you, I'm a changed woman. I'm all about the morning routine now. So highly recommend when you get to a season where you feel like you are able to get up before your kids. It's pretty great. Also with morning routine, so this is even like if you don't have time to wake up before your kids, or maybe you are a working parent and so mornings are just kind of crazy and you don't have time for that. There's a lot of audio options that are really great. Did you see that? That fly just landed on my head. It's probably because I have these beautiful flowers right here. I thought they'd be pretty to frame, but they brought the bugs. Daily Audio Bible is one of my favorites. I know there's the Bible Recap podcast. There's all sorts of Bible ones. So during different seasons of my life, when I had a longer commute, I would actually listen to the Daily Audio Bible on my morning drive because, I was a captive audience. It was easy to listen on my morning commute. So that's a possibility. I've also been loving, if you follow Tori and ChadMasters here on YouTube, they actually have a morning devotional podcast that I love called Mornings with the Masters. So that's something I'm currently doing. So I'm doing my Bible and prayer time at home in the morning. And then on the 3 days that I do go to the office, I'll listen to Mornings with the Masters on the way. And that's just like another great way to start your day. Get yourself filled with some scripture, some encouragement, and just continue. I was about to use a line from their podcast. They always end with, continue pressing into the Lord. But literally, like, that is what these recommendations are for. Just, keeping your mind and your heart in the right place and starting your day off right. Okay, number 2, social media. So, I don't know about you, but I really don't like being on my phone in front of my daughter. So because of that, I'm on social media a lot less than I used to be. I still want to be wise with my time. I don't want to be just aimlessly scrolling for hours after she goes to bed. After watching the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix, I don't know if you guys watched that one, super fascinating, just all about all the engineers there that their entire job is finding ways to keep you on the apps. Guys, it's creepy. So I set limits on my social media, and so I have a 1 hour a day limit, which you may say is still too much, but I'm telling you, it can go by fast if you just like check for 5-10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there. It adds up. So highly recommend limits on social media, especially if you are someone who is not super conscious of not being on your phone in front of your kids. It's just something that I feel really convicted about. It like hurts my heart when I'm out in public and I will like see a mom sitting on the bench at the park just like aimlessly scrolling on her phone, and her kid is out like yelling at her, trying to get her attention, trying to show her something, like just trying to interact with her, and the mom's just like over here. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing more important on that phone than your child who is right there. Like, that pet peeve if you can't tell. So yeah, limits on social media, super helpful. Also, I take a Sabbath from social media, so every Sunday I don't go on social media for 24 hours. The first couple times I did that, I found myself like I would, like the second there was a commercial on the show I was watching, or like I went to the bathroom, or all these different things, I'd just be like grabbing my phone and I'd be like, oh, this is a habit and not a habit that I want or knowingly had. So the Sabbath is just really helpful for that, and also just practicing contentment. So you have one day a week where you're not worried about like, what are other people doing? What vacations are they taking? And just all the things that social media can bring. So highly recommend taking breaks. I highly recommend, instead of just scrolling through your feed, because, you know, there's sponsored posts, there's like, again, all these algorithms that are deciding what to feed you. Something I have done and was really helpful in the early days when I literally had like no time for social media and it was like a real treat to get to go on. I made a list of my top favorite, either like influencers or friends or people, like the people that it brought me joy to watch their content. And so I made a list on my phone. And so it's like, oh, I get 10 minutes to check Instagram. I'm going to see what Sazan is doing. I'm going to see what Tori's doing. Like, I'm going to check these accounts that I love, that lift me up. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not just going to like mindlessly scroll and see what the algorithm feeds me. And that made social media so much more enjoyable for me. So highly recommend, if you're in a season where, you know, you're using it sparingly, make it worth your while and just make that list for yourself and only go on social media to check those sort of things. Makes it a whole lot easier. And then of course, you've heard it a dozen times, but curate your following. I think that's really important, especially just noticing who it is that you follow, that when you see their posts, are you envious? Are you judging them? Are you like, what is coming up in you when you see those posts? This is another thing I'm really passionate about, is just intentional motherhood. And I don't know if it's because, you know, I had kids later in life. It took us a while to have kids. So like Chloe is just the most ultimate blessing in the entire world, like because, well, number one, because she is, but I think part of that is because I had to wait so long to get her. And so I am passionate about like doing my absolute best and in raising her, and knowing that that is such a gift to be able to be a mom. And sometimes I don't think that all women recognize that. We are told to help teach and lead our children. We're taught to guard their hearts and minds. And we are the gatekeeper of our home, of what they're going to consume, what they're going to read, hear, see, all of those things within our four walls. We get to control that. And I know some people are like, oh, you're sheltering your children, you're brainwashing your children, like by trying to have that control. But I'm just gonna tell you right now, if we as the parents don't make a conscious effort of what we're going to put in front of our children, what we're going to teach them, how we're going to raise them, the world will do it for us. That is television, teachers, media, friends, neighbors, like everyone else will decide if you don't decide. In keeping with that theme, some of the recommendations I wanted to give you are ones that I found on my own because I knew this was something that was important to me. So Chloe's favorite TV show of all time makes me so happy, is Bible Adventures by Life Kids on YouTube. It is put together in such a great way. So every single episode teaches them a lesson. It teaches them a song, a Bible verse, and a story from the Bible. So it keeps them engaged. She just loves it, and she is learning Bible verses. She's learning Bible songs. They even have like a kids dance and song break towards the end of the episode where you can like get up and sing and dance to worship songs. And it is her favorite show in the world, and it makes me so happy. And again, we get this opportunity to raise our kids one time, and you can put Disney in front of them 24/7 and they can know all the Disney songs. Or if you make the intentional effort to fill your home with the words from the Bible, with hymns, with stories of Bible heroes, that's what they're going to learn. And so I think we need to be conscious of like, what are we putting in front of them? What are we teaching them? I also found the Good News guys on YouTube, and those two she absolutely loves. And so I think that's a big part of it, is just finding options with the values and lessons and the Word of God that you want to put in front of them. You can show them all those options, and then they can choose from those options what they enjoy, what resonates with them. I know some kids love Miss Rachel. There's some Christian versions of Miss Rachel. So I've tried a couple of those. I think it's Little Acorns, Little Sprouts. There's a few different ones. Those are some of her favorite shows to watch, which we're not big screen people, so we don't watch a ton of screens, but her favorite shows are Bible Adventures and Good News Guys, both on YouTube. But music, so this is another thing that I mentioned of like filling your home with these like songs and praises to the Lord. And I will tell you, it is so worthwhile when you hear that like tiny voice running around singing Jesus Loves Me or Deep and Wide or these other like songs about God's love for them. Like when you're filling their mind with these things, that's what they're pouring out. And it's just the most wonderful thing to watch as a mom. So some of the music that we like, Listener Kids, they also have a YouTube channel as well. So if you want something to watch in the background, Listener Kids. This one was a recommendation from Megan Fox Unlocked on YouTube, but Hide 'Em in Your Heart by Steve Green. Judging by the cover, I think these are a little old, like probably from our childhood, but it's so good. So he takes different Bible verses, turns them into fun kid songs. And I've even found, because we'll listen to these on days that she goes to daycare, I'll put that on our drive to daycare, and then I will be singing a Bible verse in my head all day long. And I'm sure it happens for Chloe as well. So it's just like finding these ways to introduce the Word of God into everyday life so it lives in their mind and their heart and their soul. And so Hide 'Em in Your Heart by Steve Green, also really good. We have created a Spotify playlist for our daughter of like all the ones I have recommended already. And then if she hears another song, because sometimes I'll just put on like Bluegrass Christian, or she loves Lawson Bates. And so if I'm listening to that stuff and she'll just randomly say, oh, I like this song, I add it to her playlist. So then when we're in the car and she wants to listen to something, I just go to Chloe's playlist, or as I tell her, Chloe Radio. And then she can listen to all these great songs. And listen, we're not purists. Sometimes I wish we were. But like she does go to daycare 3 days a week. So she does have like Baby Shark is on there by her request. And there's a couple other, it's not all hymns on her playlist, but we try and introduce those more often than not. So it's a good mix on her playlist. Okay, so if you are someone who struggles to get in the Word, doesn't really like listening to Christian music, but you just feel like you should more than you currently are, I'm telling you the best thing to do, take it to Jesus. If you ask him to give you a heart for the Word and help you to find that affection, he is so happy to do that. I remember praying that. It's probably been 5+ years. And it wasn't overnight, obviously, but I looked back at some point over the past year and realized all the shows I watch on YouTube are Christian moms. I basically listen to Christian music, different genres, but I have like my Lauren Daigle radio, my bluegrass radio, Israel and New Breed radio. Like the only music I listen to basically these days is Christian music. And it's just like, that is all I want to consume. And it happened like slowly over time. And like the podcasts I listen to all have Christian themes. And so it's just like, if you ask him for that, he is so happy to help you get to that place. And that's another reason why I wanted to make this video, was just to help share some of the things that I found that made me want to know him more and love him more. So that's what this video is about. So I am a podcast girl. I didn't used to be. It took us moving to the city where it takes you 30+ minutes to get anywhere. And I found some really good ones. So some of my favorites are Journeywomen with Hunter Beless. She was an early one that I found, and I absolutely love hers. It's all about exactly what I talked about, like helping stir women's affection for loving and knowing God more. That's like their entire thing. And so she brings really great people on. They have different series, and she herself is a military wife, travels around all the time. So she's really passionate about like not using moving and like all of that as an excuse to not get involved in a local church, which has convicted me at times because it took us a while to find one. And so really recommend Journeywomen. The Candace Bure podcast, I really love her. I'm not going to go into detail on all of these, or else this video will be 50 minutes long. Have You Heard with MMA Jenkins, At Home with Sally by Sally Clarkson, We're Going There with Bianca Juarez Oltoff, Honey, I'm Homemaker with Megan Fox and her cousin Jana, and then As For Me and My House by the Ciciottis. So those are some of my favorite podcasts. If you haven't already listened to them, they're no longer active, but you can go back in the archives. The Real Life podcast by Jeff and Alyssa Bethke. I love the Bethkes. So I love their podcast. They stepped away from that a few years ago, so there's not new content on there, but if you want to go back and listen, very good. And The Good Life with Stevie and Sazan. I love them, loved their podcast. So those are my top podcast recommendations. Also just thinking about, this was one of my memory verses on my mirror, and now I can't remember it word for word, and that I should probably work on. But, okay, so this was one of my memory verses that I had to look up because clearly I don't remember it well enough. But whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So that was a big theme for me, probably like a year ago. That was the verse on my mirror. I was really conscious of that. So with that, I kind of made the switch away from binging just regular TV shows, and that's when I really got into just watching YouTube as my TV, because these are Christian creators who are putting out this content. So my money is going to support people who uphold the same values as me. It's not going to some network that supports who knows what. And it's just, when I'm having my me time, I'm filling myself with positive things. I'm thinking about, noble, admirable, pure, lovely, wonderful things. So these are some of my favorite YouTube creators. If you are also a YouTube gal, highly recommend. So Milena Ciciotti, who I mentioned, she also has a podcast with her husband. She has been a really fun one to follow because she herself has gone on a big journey. She was kind of a more typical influencer who also happened to be Christian, and then over the past few years has really shifted to her content is all about what does biblical womanhood look like, what does it mean to run my home in a way that is spirit-led and just super, super good. Really enjoy her. Milena Ciciotti. I'll link to all of this down below. Chad and Aaron Payne. If you guys watched Bringing Up Bates, I follow quite a few of the Bates family members' YouTube channels, because I swear so many of the Bates and the Duggars are on YouTube now. And it's great because they don't have the show anymore, but you can still keep up with them. So yeah, Chad and Erin Payne, I really enjoy their videos. This Golden Hour, creates gorgeous content. She's a Mennonite mom in Pennsylvania. Megan Fox Unlocked, another Mennonite mom in Pennsylvania who creates really great content. Sarah Therese and Sarah Therese Co. That's two different channels. She switched from one to the other. But she's actually up in Canada and she does a lot of like homemaking content. Her new Sarah Therese Co. is all like food related, which is fun if you're like looking for new meals. She's also very like health conscious, and so she does really good clean meals if you're interested in that. Farmhouse on Boone, this goes to my like dream farmhouse simple living aesthetic, because she's one of those that like all their meat comes from like their family members' cows. They're like raising their own chickens for their eggs. She's making meat. She's making amazing breads and baked goods like every single day. And then it's like the footage of her in the morning, like gathering all the things from her garden. It's just, if you love that like farmhouse, Little House on the Prairie vibe, Farmhouse on Boone, that's where it's at. Natalie Bennett, she is a fellow Pacific Northwest gal, and she creates really great content. Hers is a lot of like cleaning, home renovation, DIY stuff. She's, again, very simple living, minimalist led. So I really enjoy her content. She's also been a content creator for a long time. So all these gals, they've got it figured out. Bindi Mark is another one that I follow. It's kind of similar to what Melena's channel has turned into. So it's a lot of footage of just like her around her house doing the dishes, whatever, and then she does the voiceover talking basically about like what the Lord is teaching her right now and things like that. So I really enjoy her. Nicole Renard is a friend of mine. So I say friend, we've met only a couple times in real life, but the first time we met was like over a decade ago. So it feels like we're real life friends, even though most of our friendship has only been over social media. Anyways, love her channel. She's also more on like the food and travel side of things, but her faith also plays a big role in that. So she's got a fun channel. Tori and ChadMasters, who I mentioned earlier, they have the Mornings with the Masters podcast. They do great like vlog lifestyle content, them and their family. And then last but not least, the Stewart family on YouTube. So that is Carlin and Evan Stewart. Carlin, also one of the Bates gals. They post every single week and they're super fun to follow. So I find that so helpful and encouraging, because there have been so many times because I'm consuming this YouTube content and not regular TV shows, it encourages me to be a better wife, mom, follower of God, like just in my daily life. Like Melena especially, because hers is one of the ones that I follow the most. She's just so passionate about serving her family and serving her home, and that is her I guess duty sounds a little heavy, but yeah, so she always makes it a point to close the kitchen every night. And I don't close the kitchen every night, I'm gonna be honest. But on those nights when it's like Chloe went down easy, it's 7:45, maybe Jordan's gone, when it's like I have no excuse, I could sit on the couch and do nothing. Like that picture of Melena closing her kitchen comes to mind. It's like, you know what? I have the time. I'm gonna serve my family in this way. I'm gonna load the dishwasher. I'm gonna clean the counters a little bit. I'm gonna clean the living room, because I know coming home to a clean house is something that is really a blessing to Jordan. And so it's like when I'm filling myself with this content, when that time comes and I have the decision of like, do I want to be selfish or do I want to serve my family? I'm going to be more apt to serve my family, because the content that I've been consuming is reiterating the biblical truths to me of like how important it is to like pour into our children, to serve our families, to all of these biblical principles. And so when you're filling your mind with that and your heart with that, it's a lot easier to live your life in that way as well. So I hope that is of encouragement to you. I think that was the last thing on my list. Yes. Oh, apparently I had even more YouTube recommendations for you. I'll speed through this round. Sazan Hendricks, Shara Stevens, The Cole Life, Josh and Sav, Kristen Johns, Levita Penavega, Lawson Bates, Lopsky Life. Again, once you start going down this rabbit hole on YouTube, YouTube will continue introducing you to these creators. So yeah, highly recommend all of those. Books, of course, I cannot forget books. So some of the books have really changed how I think about my role are by Jeff Bethke. I'm just saying he's like one of my favorites. So To Hell with the Hustle, highly, highly, highly recommend that book, especially if you are someone who feels just really rushed, like you don't have time to be intentional because there's so many other things, like your career, your this, your that. He just paints such a good picture that really encourages you to prioritize the big things first. He talks about how in our society, homes have basically become parking lots for every member of the family. Like, yeah, you all come to the same spot at the end of the night, but then the next day you're just all going your own separate ways, and there's no like community within the home. Don't get me started on that, because I feel like that's the reason for most of the issues in our world today, but that's a whole nother thing. So To Hell with the Hustle, Take Back Your Family, both by Jeff Bethke. So good. Highly recommend. Satisfied by Alyssa Bethke, also really good. I gave away my copy. I was in her book launch group for that book, which was so cool. It's like a beautiful coffee table book, but it also has like wonderful biblical truths within it as well. She talks a lot about like longing and waiting in certain seasons, whether it's like trying to have children, or like she talks about when she went through a miscarriage and so it's some heavier topics, but just finding encouragement in that, or like if you're a season longing for other mom friends or just female friendships in general, she talks a lot about that kind of stuff. So it's a really good one. And the one I'm reading right now, that I'm telling you, I can only read like 1 or 2 pages and then I'm immediately journaling all the things I'm learning and thinking about. The Mission of Motherhood by Sally Clarkson is so good. It's just like so rich in truth, and just with how important our job as mothers are. But like being a mom is the most incredible job you can ever have. Like you are literally, I heard it said recently, you are teaching tiny humans how to be humans in the world. And like, what does that look like? How do we treat people? How do we act? How do we speak? Like, we are in charge of helping guide and mold these tiny humans to be thriving members of society, to like make positive change in the world. And so many people these days just take it as like, well, if they're fed, if they have a roof over their head, if they are alive at the end of the day, then I'm doing my job. And that is such a cop-out. Like, we have such an opportunity to change the world through changing our children. Like, who said that quote of like, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family? It's so true. So, as you can tell, this is a topic I'm very passionate about, and I would love to make more videos kind of on things that I talked about in this video. I know in the past my videos, it's been all over the place. We have done pageants, we have done fashion, we have done pregnancy/fertility, so getting to the pregnancy part. We have done like travel, day in the life. I've done so many different things. I'm sure the algorithm has no idea who to feed my content to. So bless you, the like 900 of you that have found me thus far and are still here and subscribed. Thank you. That is, honestly, it's incredible that you ever found me, that you stayed, that you hit the subscribe button, because I've been all over the place. So I've just been feeling really convicted to just gear this channel a little bit more into what I am passionate about, and instead of being like, oh, this is what I see other people doing, be like, okay, I am passionate about motherhood. I'm passionate about intentional, slow living. I absolutely love a good thrift haul. Like, I just want to fill my channel with the stuff that I'm passionate about and worry less about what the internet wants. Do you know what I mean? So you may see a slight shift in I say slight shift in my content, but my content has been everywhere. So will it really feel different that now we're just like throwing another layer in? Who knows? But yeah, that is today's video. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something out of it. I feel like it took a while to get in my groove, but I am just really passionate, as I said, about motherhood and intentional mothering and serving our families and all of those things. So if you are passionate about those things as well, please comment down below. It's still a majority of people that watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you are someone who does come back, you've watched more than one video, it costs you $0. I would love if you would subscribe to this channel. If you are not familiar with how YouTube works, in order to get paid for the ads that are shown before, during, and after your videos, you have to hit 1,000 subscribers. Last I checked, I think I'm at like 900. So I have like 100 more subscribers to go, plus a handful of watch hours before I can reach that monetary status on YouTube. Right now it feels like I'm just filming these and like sending them out to the void. So if you are watching this, like, comment, subscribe, but genuinely, like, I would love to know who's watching this and how you're enjoying it, what your favorite kind of videos from me are, anything you'd like me to talk about. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention in my video was kids books. Hello. So I want to show you a couple of our favorites. So everyone talks about Jesus Storybook Bible. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think the stories are good. I don't love the illustrations. Like in the story of, hi babe. Like in the story of Rebecca and Leah, when one is supposed to be beautiful and one is not, neither of them are attractive. So not to be dramatic, but I do feel like it takes away from the story a little bit. So my preference, like that one, she's kind of scary. Instead of Jesus Storybook Bible, I like the Usborne illustrated Bible stories. Like this one has just beautiful stories. I really like that. She has another one over here that I just found at the kids consignment store, Good Night Bible Story. And these are like super quick ones, but then it also has like the Bible reference and then a prayer to pray before bed that's about that Bible story. So some of my other favorites are by Ellie Holcomb. She's also a beautiful singer, if you've not heard of her. So there's Who Sang the First Song, and don't forget to remember the illustration on these, stunning. She loves both of these, and they're just really beautiful stories about God and creation, and they're really fun and colorful. So she really likes both of those. Highly recommend. One of my favorite books, because I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but her nursery theme is like desert sunset. So I love God Made You to Be You by Jamie Ivey. You want to read it? So I bought this one for the aesthetic and for the message. It's a really good story. And I've also gifted it to a few different people for baby showers. I think it's a really fun baby shower book. So it could be for boy or girl. Read it, see it, say it, sing it. This one is by Hunter Beless, who is also in my podcast recommendations. This one is about teaching your children to know and love God's word. Berenstain Bears. We are a huge Berenstain Bear family. She loves the show. I should have mentioned that in the kids shows. Berenstain Bears, of course. But they also have, I think it's the Living Lights collection, and those are all Christian stories. Their other stories also mention God, so I do think there's some Christian principles in the other ones as well, but this is Berenstain Bears Go to Sunday School. They have all kinds, so love us some Berenstain Bears. Last but not least, my in-laws love a Facebook ad. They always find the fun things on like Facebook ads. This was the best find. So it's the With Jesus books by Good News Meditations. There are so many of them. So it's With Jesus, I Am Kind. With Jesus, I Am Talented. With Jesus, I Am Thankful. With Jesus, I Am Smart. With Jesus, I Tell the Truth. And guys, I could keep going. There are so many. This one is her absolute favorite. She asks to read this one all the time. But all of them, they're short, easy reads, and they all have just wonderful messages about how God can help us to do our best, live our best every single day, even as little kiddos. So I'm really glad that they found these. I forget how many there are. There's a lot. I want to say there's at least like 12 of these in the set. I'll try and find where I can link them. It's Good News Meditation Kids. A Spoonful of Faith is also a really cute one. This is Jana Holiday. Thank You, God, Good Night. Exactly what it sounds like. It's just talking about you're thanking God for the day that you had before you go to bed. That's a good bedtime book. Baby, You're a Blessing. This was a thrift store find, but it is so sweet.